Welcome and welcome back for those returning. My name is Deborah Whipke and I am a renewal life coach. I'm going to ask you right off the bat, do you think that you are running your life with outdated programming? Are you feeling stuck? Are you feeling like the old habits that you're still running on no longer serve you? Or maybe you don't even recognize the fact that you're running and outdated programming and that it is literally habits from the past and they are not serving you anymore. So I'm going to give you an example of this. In 2005, I started grad school. I had already completed 2 associate's degrees and a bachelor's degree and graduated with honors. But I had grown up being told that I was too stupid to learn anything. And really that was programmed in my mind like a lot. It was as natural to me to feel that I was stupid and dumb and unable to learn and that I belonged in a slow learners class. That was what it was called back then and everything, as it was to recognize that I had a hand and 5 fingers on my hand. I just accepted that to be a fact because it was programmed into my consciousness and my subconscious at a very, very young age and continued to be programmed in throughout my childhood. So I had 3 degrees under my belt and I had started grad school. And one day a letter came in the mail from the university and I went into panic mode thinking, oh my God, they discovered me. I'm going to be kicked out. They know I'm not good enough and smart enough to be in grad school. And I caught myself. I caught that thought and that panic because I literally broke out into a sweat thinking, I'm found out. And I'm like, what the world is happening right now? What are you doing right now? Because you have 3 degrees. You graduated with honors. You got a lot of A's, And yet you're thinking that they're gonna find you out. That was a huge epiphany for me. And I had to go back and look at my life and I finally understood that old habit, that old programming was still running right along the side with the newer programming, the growth that I had achieved in order to get into grad school. I had to believe that I could do it, but yet the old programming was still there running too. And for so many of us, that is exactly what's happening all the time. We have both programs running at the same time. The problem comes in with most of the time, that old programming, because it was often seated in our psyche at a young age, it often takes control. Unless we recognize, like I had that epiphany that day, and it just stopped me cold in my tracks. And I'm like, I cannot believe this. I cannot believe that I've come so far in my life and I am still identifying with that child that was told all of those lies. And they were absolute lies. But that child in me still 100% believed in those lies, and that programming in me was still operating. And in a sense, keeping me stuck. Because as long as I still felt that I wasn't smart enough to do certain things, that held me back because that meant that I wasn't going to try certain things. If I wasn't sure that I could accomplish something, I didn't try it. I did not try it. And the reason that I was pretty sure that I could get into grad school was actually because of all of my teachers' support through my associate's degrees and through my bachelor's degree, telling me, boy, you should go on to grad school. Is that something that you're considering? And that was the thing that that made me decide to go to grad school, because I don't know how I would have thought of that on my own. I knew I needed to go to get my bachelor's degree, because at that time you couldn't get a decent job without at least a bachelor's degree. And so I knew I had to do that. But I was not thinking beyond that. Higher education, I wasn't thinking beyond that at that moment until people started encouraging me and everything. So anyways, how do we change these old programmings? How do we get unstuck and stop living from the old habits? Well, number one is just what I said. You need to identify it, and you need to start asking yourself, make a list of the things that you feel are holding you back, keeping you from moving forward in your life in ways that you say you want to move forward, but then you're not actually doing anything about it. And gather all the support that you can gather to give you that confidence to start letting go of the old habits that no longer serve you. So for me, it is, I post all kinds of reminders around the house, powerful sayings for me. Really, when I look at them, it does something for me, and so that helps. And journaling obviously helps, and making my audio recordings that I talked about in a previous video helps me too, to recognize, is this old programming? In the last video, I talked about struggle versus challenge, and I talked about the fact that because I came from an abusive childhood, that I felt like a victim. I identified as a victim. It isn't that I consciously said, oh, Deborah is a victim. It is that my mindset was operating on the old programming of, I'm a victim. Everyone wants to harm me. Everyone wants to do something bad to me. That was the programming that was installed at a very young age. And because so many bad things were happening, well, that's what I identified with, is I'm not safe and people want to harm me. So I have people in my life that support me, and that's important too. If you have people in your life that can support you and remind you, hey, you came to me and said, I wanted you to let me know when I'm running this old programming. My friend who passed away, she was fantastic at that. We supported each other in that way. If I was saying something derogatory about myself or whatever, she would be the first one to speak up and say, isn't that your old habits that you're running here? Once I ask her to assist me with that. So identifying is the first step. And then really making a conscious effort. I'm not saying that it's easy. You have to keep showing up day after day after day. And you have to keep saying, this is more important to me. My new life story is more important to me than the old habits and programming that weren't true anyways. And that's another thing. If you start to actually take them apart, were they ever true at all? Were they ever true at all? Any of the old habits, any of the outdated programming, where did it come from? Who installed the programming? Because if it happened when you were a child, most likely you did not install that programming. Someone else did it for you. And if someone else did it for you, then most likely that was based on their shortcomings, their issues. It's not based on you at all. And recognize that, because that is power. That is powerful. Take back the power that these other people took from you. So anyways, that was a lot. I hope that you got something out of this video, though. It is an important topic. We all are struggling to break through and break out of the old programming that does not serve us. And like I said, it was never ours to begin with. So please hit that like button and leave me a comment. Please subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and I will see you soon.